Walker for CapitalWeatherGang.com. Thanks so much for tuning in to our weekly Sunday sunset chats. We have yet another storm system heading our way. We'll talk about the Tuesday threats, with the two threats being flooding downpours possible and damaging wind gusts can't be ruled out for the next storm system on Tuesday. And otherwise, it's a mild week. We'll talk about that as well. Snow potential index at the very bottom here is 0, though, with only maybe our highest elevations in our region early on the storm system onset on Tuesday, seeing some wintry precipitation, but otherwise, it is not looking good for snow lovers at this time. We might even see another rainy, breezy system for the upcoming weekend as well. Let's get into all the details. Happy Sunday, Kristen. Thanks so much for tuning in from Facebook. I should be on Instagram, Facebook, X, and YouTube right now. Camden Walker for CapitalWeatherGang.com. Anytime you need us, we're there at the blog 24/7. My PM update there at the top on CapitalWeatherGang.com. You can find it there. And Matt Capucci's great write-up on kind of the broader, more semi-national impact of the storm coming up Monday night to Wednesday as it moves out. Hello, Charlene. Thanks so much for tuning in from Facebook. All right, let's look at the threats for the Tuesday storm system. First off, we have, a very small wintry threat as it moves in. We could see a little bit of sleet, freezing rain, even some snowflakes in the high elevations west and northwest of the Beltway for very early Tuesday morning. If you are able to be a little flexible in the highest elevations of a region, it really should not last long. And I see maybe a brief dusting on some locations along the I-81 corridor. Maybe a couple locations see an inch. So we're not talking about much on the western parts of Virginia, higher elevations. But, don't want you to be surprised. There could be some very brief wintry precipitation at the outset of the storm. The longer, kind of broader Tuesday night threat is flooding downpours, potentially a slight chance for excessive rainfall here in the yellow, at least a 15% chance of seeing some flooding. And most areas of concern are along rivers and urban centers, where the pace of rainfall, the rate could be a little bit too high at moments to be handled by the sewage systems in urban areas. So keep that in mind, urban residents. And here's the wind gust potential. We could see that this is a little bit high, but it's worth thinking a wind advisory could be issued Tuesday into Tuesday night for parts of the area, maybe even on Wednesday. As you can see, the very tight pressure isobars behind the storm system on the animation at the bottom here as it pulls out of the region Tuesday night into Wednesday. Wind will be left behind the storm system even on Wednesday. So while none of us, the National Weather Service and the Capital Weather Gang team, do not think that the 60 to 65 mile per hour wind gusts and kind of the light red, pink, and white there might happen kind of Tuesday evening between sunset and midnight is the current thinking on time frame for the highest wind gusts. We can't rule out a few, 58 mile per hour wind gusts, 50 to 55 mile per hour wind gusts are a little more reasonable. And the concern is it won't take much wind to fall some trees in the region. We're going to have saturated soils. We are going to have, what is this, our third storm? The soils are very wet. So it won't take much to have some trees fall over. Maybe a few power outages are possible later Tuesday night as well. So high wind gust threat and excessive rainfall threat that could produce some flooding in the region. Those are the two-pronged threat system of the Tuesday storm system coming our way. That is the vast majority just going to be a rain system. So heavy rains, gusty winds, be prepared for that on Tuesday. Rick, thanks so much for tuning in. The Saturday rain for this last Saturday, maybe this upcoming Saturday. The drought is doing much better in the region. Let's check out the latest there and the forecast for this upcoming week of rainfall totals. Another 2.5 inches in the area. So we are whittling down that drought. It has shrunk since last week on that darker orange D2 severe drought in the central Blue Ridge area of Virginia. So that's some good news, Rick. I hope you agree. We are, some of this is a little bit too much rain too quickly and too short of a time span, but at least we are whittling down our droughts during the winter here. Hydrologically speaking, we are in pretty decent shape, especially along and east of I-95. But, we could stand to maybe spread out some of these rain just a little bit. And even behind our Tuesday storm system, we could see maybe another inch of rain next weekend as well. So we are not wanting but so much precipitation in the region. And here are the trends longer term precipitation here at the bottom, kind of leaning maybe a little bit drier than average for the 8 to 14 day period, which is kind of next work week. But temperatures for next work week have a decent chance of being below average, which we're entering now in mid January, our coldest time of year climatologically. So expect a little bit of chill next week. It should be noticeable for most of us in the region. All right, so let us know, as I discussed in the PM update, if you think we had some good forecast verification of our accumulation map there at the bottom on this side, and then on this side, I think that's going to be on the right side of your screen. You're going to see what actually fell in the winter precipitation categories there. So I think we did a very decent job, as best as we could do with limited cold air, and hopefully you had your expectations guided appropriately for this storm that just exited very early this morning. So we'll have, I think, a more detailed post-mortem on the storm as we get into the early part of this work week. So stay tuned to capitalweathergame.com as we get closer. I'm Camden Walker. Thanks so much for tuning into our weekly Sunday Sunset Chats live Q&As. We try and do this every week throughout the year. Unless I think we had kind of Christmas Eve and Christmas, I've interfered too much with even doing a Sunday or Holiday Monday edition, but I've enjoyed seeing you twice now. This is our second 2024 broadcast. We're trying this vertical format for Instagram, Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, and YouTube. Trying to be on 4 of our social media channels, simulcasting to you live for our weekly Sunday Sunset Chat. My PM update there is at the top, and then just below that, the forecast at a glance, which you can graphically find available at capitalweathergame.com. Thanks again for tuning in. Let's take a look at this slide animation, this little bit of slideshow of the temperatures this week. Just to give you an idea, we'd have kind of 2 spikes into arguably warm air on Tuesday and maybe again on Saturday with our 2 major notable storm systems this week. So we have plenty of precipitation headed our way. Vast majority, almost all of it, is going to be rain for our region. We'll keep you posted on details as we get closer to Saturday. Kind of want to wait a little bit to get a little bit closer to Saturday to be more confident of the details of that storm. But we are in a stormier pattern now as we have started the new year. All right, let me show you one more time the PM update there, forecast at a glance. Our storm article by Matt Capucci, some good details there, kind of more of a national impact of the storm for Tuesday into Tuesday night, which, I guess we should include Monday night to Wednesday since we're talking more of a national perspective here, and some heavy snows are possible in the Northeast. Snow potential index, sorry, snow lovers in the DC area, we've reduced that back down to 0. We don't see a chance of an inch or more of accumulating snow in the next week as it stands now. Sorry to say, but travel impacts are lower that way, I could argue, is silver lining. Rick, you're most welcome. Thanks for tuning in from Facebook. David, I'm glad you like the new format. Appreciate that feedback. Good seeing you from Facebook. And Paul, indeed, we just talked about the drought being very dented, and we continue to whittle away at some of the drought in the Central Blue Ridge. It's currently along and east of I-95. We'll go into that in a minute. It's doing just fine. Indeed, lots of rain. And Mary, let me know if I answered your question from Facebook there. Hello, Julia from YouTube. You want more snow, but most welcome. You're welcome for the information, and I'm glad to see you. All right, let's see. We've got James on YouTube. How much rainfall are we looking at for Tuesday? 2 to 2.5 inches of rain. Let's check out the map there, and I'll also kind of juxtapose for you the drought, current drought situation, getting less and less in our area. Another 2 to 2.5 inches of rain just through the middle part of this week with our Tuesday storm system. So we're doing really pretty darn good in the water department now, especially given that it's winter and it's not growing season. We're in decent shape, but I personally would like to get that kind of final D2 darker orange in the central Blue Ridge Mountains there. I think in Rockingham County around Harrisonburg. I want to get rid of that for the rest of the winter. Hopefully this storm system Tuesday and maybe even Saturday brings us a little more rain as well in about 5-6 days. With any luck, we could see a reduction in elimination maybe of the D2 droughts in the coming week or so. So fingers crossed for our next Sunday Sunset Live Q&A chat. When you talk to me next Sunday, maybe I will eliminate that D2 darker orange drought there. All right. Thomas wants some snow. Uh, Mike, I know indeed if we had colder air, that's kind of our problem so far this winter. Limited cold air while we're in a stormier pattern, bringing us plenty of precipitation. It is frustrating for you snow lovers, I know. All right. Hello, Maria. Thanks so much for tuning in from Facebook. And indeed, Paul, the numbers are a little bit smaller in this format with the maps, but let me know if I can repeat anything for you. 2 to 2.5 inches of rain on this map above me, and those darker reds for much of the region. And so far, Joe, the Tuesday storm looks stronger than the Saturday storm for the upcoming weekend, but we'll keep you posted as we get closer. That's a great question. And so far, Charlene, the next 2 weeks, let's look ahead for kind of outlooks for temperature and precipitation. Here's the temperatures, a very clear signal of being below average for the upcoming work week next week in the 8 to 14 day period. Precipitation, a little less clear. It's kind of more, maybe if anything, it's leaning with a slight chance of below average precipitation, but that still leaves the door open for a storm system to potentially, in theory, take advantage of the below average air that is pretty moderately confident that it's going to be in place for the 8 to 14 day period next work week as well. All right. So, Kristen, so far we don't have any major concerns about ice on Wednesday morning, but thanks for asking. That's a good question. Ruth Elisa, hello. Thanks for tuning in from Facebook. Justin, we're hopeful mid to end of January for more snow chances. And Ruth Elisa is not ready for snow. I'm glad you were tuning in right now. Good for you that we don't see much snow in the forecast. And let's see, we've got David. We can brush off the snow potential index for now. I am sorry for you snow lovers that it is at a 0 right now, but we do have a new article just above this 0 SPI snow potential index. We do have an article from Matt Capucci, and I think Jason Samenow contributed to this just so you have a more national perspective on the storm that starts moving in kind of late Monday night and develops through Wednesday for the northeastern United States, where there could be some heavy snow that we mentioned here at capitalweathergang.com. We're there anytime you need us, 24/7. I'm Camden Walker doing our weekly Sunday Sunset Chat. Thanks for tuning in every Sunday. We can go over the week ahead. We're highlighting the Tuesday storm this week, maybe another chance of rain again on Saturday, but we have a couple threats with this strong storm on Tuesday. Flooding can't be ruled out, nor can high wind gusts. Damaging winds are possible on Tuesday as well. We don't think anything too crazy, but a wind advisory looks like it is in the cards potentially for Tuesday into Tuesday night. All right. Ruth Elisa, not expected to rain on Monday night, just very early by sunrise on Tuesday as it looks now. David, the polar vortex is not sending clear signals just yet for our area, but we'll keep an eye on it for you. We, of course, anytime there's a piece of it that breaks off and maybe moves toward our region, we, of course, cover that for you, and we'll watch that. With an El Nino year, we have a very strong subtropical jet, making it a little bit hard at times to kind of get poleward sourced cold air to move south to our region from the North Pole. Snow dance routine is kind of like this, Stephanie. Maybe if I were better, we'd have more chances of snow. And Kenny, thanks for this report. 5.5 inches of snow near Martinsburg, West Virginia. I love hearing that. Someone in the region, the highest elevations, is getting some snow out of some of these stronger storm systems with plenty of precipitation. Wind on Tuesday, we should talk about. Maybe a few power outages, Larry. That's a great question. We'll touch on that in just a second. And Tim, you're most welcome. And Ruth Lisa, you're welcome as well. So let's talk about our storm threats on Tuesday. Wind and flooding are on the table. We have first, maybe at the outset, the first onset of the storm system that moves in very early Tuesday morning for the greater DC area. Low confidence that we have wintry impact for Tuesday morning. And if it does transpire, it would be low impact as it looks now. 2-4 hours in the highest elevations, mainly west of town. We're talking Blue Ridge Mountains. Even it's hard to get an inch of brief snow west of even I-81. So we're talking about a very limited kind of nuisance event for just a very small portion of your morning, potentially on Tuesday morning on the greater I-81 corridor, along and east of I-95. As is classic with storms that don't have a lot of cold air with them, we are going to be struggling to see even just a few flakes mix in with the rain when it starts on Tuesday morning. So accumulations not really expected anywhere near the DC area or along I-95. but a dusting to maybe an inch at the highest areas around and above the I-81 corridor is possible. And you can see here it's really looking like 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 hours along Skyline Drive. Could see a wintry mix of snow, sleet, freezing rain. So they might have to shut down Skyline Drive, but that's not a major commuting corridor by any stretch of the imagination. So we're talking about 2,000 feet or so, seeing the chance of some early Tuesday wintry storm threat. But really, this is turning into an excessive rainfall threat for more of the region. And the yellow here, it is a slight chance, at least 15% chance, that is, of seeing excessive rainfall. And this means heavy enough rainfall rates that we could see some flooding, especially in urban areas and along rivers. That's the current thinking by the National Weather Service as it stands now. So Tuesday into Tuesday night, remember, turn around, don't drown. We could see heavy enough rainfall intensity to produce some flooding in our area. So please, if you encounter a water covered path forward, turn around and don't drown for Tuesday into Tuesday night, please. That's when we're focused on another threat as well. Wind gusts Tuesday evening could be around 50 miles per hour. This depiction is, we think, too high, but worth thinking. There's a very small, slight outside chance of a 60-mile-per-hour wind gust that can't be ruled out. So far, only talking about maybe a wind advisory being issued in the region for Tuesday into Tuesday evening. But I did mention this in our PM update, though some of the models are getting a little too robust and too high in their guesstimates for wind gusts on Tuesday evening. It is kind of the time frame we are focused on for seeing, with saturated soils, some wind gusts topple a few trees. We could see some power outages. So please keep that in the back of your mind for, if you can, maybe commute a little bit earlier in the evening, coming home from work a little bit earlier than such. Sunset now, Charlene, we're talking to you right now after 5 p.m., 5:02 p.m. today is our sunset in DC, and it is great to talk to you a little bit later than the crazy before 5 p.m. weekly Sunday sunset chats. But I enjoyed talking to you. I'm Camden Walker, CapitalWeatherGang.com. We're there anytime you need us, 24/7. This is our weekly Sunday sunset chats. I'm Camden Walker, showing you the precipitation animation for the Tuesday, early Tuesday into Tuesday night storm. It leaves wind behind it on Wednesday. So we need to remember that we could be dealing with a wind advisory into Wednesday's time frame as well. Temperatures animated for you here at the bottom. Pretty mild week. Tomorrow looks like it's kind of the coldest but near average for this time of year day of the week. We spike on Tuesday, a little bit warm, and Saturday again with our two storm systems of the week. Even between them, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, pretty darn mild, around 50 degrees, no major complaints, but that is above average for this time of year. And keep in mind, we are getting into the coldest parts of the year, mid to late January, typically very chilly, the chilliest of the year for the area. All right, happy Sunday to you, Adandra. Happy New Year. And next best chance of snow, I think, is behind the Saturday system. Next, let's see, this is Swimmer. We think, yep, kind of mid to late January. And let me show you kind of the temperature outlook for next work week. Has a clear signal of being below average. But precipitation, not a clear signal much either way, above or below average. If anything, a hint of leaning below average for precipitation while we do have this cold air next week. So that's a little frustrating for snow lovers, but no clear signal of a snowstorm just yet on the horizon, Swimmer. We, of course, will keep you posted here at CapitalWeatherGang.com as we get closer. And even this Saturday storm, we kind of want to get a little bit closer to it to see details, how we can get the finer points of the forecast together for you with higher confidence as we get closer to Saturday as well. But it looks wet and not snowy as it stands now. You have probably seen, unfortunately for snow lovers, we have a 0 on the SPI right here at the very bottom of the screen. But another article covering the storm system for more of a national impact from our team at CapitalWeatherGang.com. My PM update there at the top, and forecast at a glance graphically available at CapitalWeatherGang.com anytime you need us. Taba, good to see you on X. Winds will be like Tuesday morning. Not too bad, but a wind advisory might be getting going. Gusts around 30, 40 miles per hour can't be ruled out. The time frame we're most concerned about, wind gusts, maybe around 50 miles per hour. Perhaps tiny chance of being a little bit higher, Taba, would be Tuesday evening. That's kind of the main time frame after PM rush, generally speaking, on Tuesday evening. All right, Mike, I don't I didn't put any stock in snow around January 16th just yet, but I appreciate you following along. We hopefully, with precipitation being provided thanks to El Nino's energizing the subtropical jet stream and kind of throwing it from the southeast into our region, we hopefully can get some cold air, which is typical of mid to late January, the coldest time of year. So we'll see if we do get some snow mid to late January. Fingers crossed, snow lovers. All right. I've been on the air about 20 minutes. Let me check the comments really quick. Chad, wet ground does mean some power outages potentially for the storm on Tuesday, especially Tuesday evening. We could see some high wind gusts, some flooding downpours, maybe at the onset, some wintry mix in the highest elevations of our region, but that's not a concern for vast majority of the DC area. But here it is, flooding downpours, possible flooding concerns. Tuesday, especially by Tuesday evening, including wind gusts. We're focused on maybe Tuesday evening as being the highest chance for the highest gusts, around perhaps even above 50 miles per hour. And again, with the wet soil, we could have some power outages. So I'm glad, Chad from Facebook, appreciate you being on top of that. And that is a problem, a potential threat for Tuesday evening as well. Lois is looking forward to spring. You have a great week, Charlene. David, you're most welcome. And let's see, we've got let's see, Joe, as of yesterday, you're looking forward to the time change already. I love that. So it's still dark and early at times, I know. And let's see, Kristen, you're most welcome. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you have a good week. And Kenny, you think the drought was or eased, if not erased, this week? I look forward to presenting that next Sunday for our weekly Sunday Sunset Chat. Hopefully, we can get rid of at least that D2 level severe droughts around Rockingham County in Virginia and the Central Blue Ridge. All right, I wish everyone a really good week. I appreciate your time, and just be careful of the flooding threat and high wind gust damaging wind threat potential with this Tuesday storm. Stay safe, and we will talk next Sunday for our weekly Sunday Sunset Chat then.